I picked these cute little Dr Seuss books up from a charity shop near me. There's 12 in all, they're in really good condition, and I thought, well, I haven't actually read many Dr Seuss books in my life. I remember reading a couple when I was a kid, but it's one of those things that you always hear people talking about, so I figured I'd give it a go, give them a read, and then see if I could sell them on. Hi, I'm Tina, and I'm addicted to books. I buy bargain books to read and resell. These 12 Dr Seuss books cost me £3. They were 25p each. I think they were originally part of a larger set called The Wonderful World of Mini Dr Seuss, published by HarperCollins in 2008, their small format hardbacks. So I thought I would give you a quick review of these books in the order that I least like them to the best, so I'll save the best till last. This might be a bit of a nostalgia trip for you, or give you an idea if these are books that you would like to read to your kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, or just your mates for a laugh. So, starting off with Mr. Brown Can Moo, Can You? I never came across this one as a kid, but I think it was probably designed to make parents make silly noises, and that's the only reason I think it exists, and I'm sure young children would find that amusing even if their parents don't. The next one, Hop on Pop, is designed for very young children, teaching how words can change with just one letter. I may have read this when I was very, very young, but I don't remember it. But it's still relevant today and it serves its purpose. Scrambled Eggs Super. I don't think this one has aged very well. These days, children aren't really encouraged to go egg hunting, even if the birds are silly and fictitious. Also, it has some very outdated references to people from different cultures using stereotypes that are not PC these days. And it also makes use of the word gay in its original form to describe a family, i.e. meaning that they're happy and jolly, not of the same sex, which might cause some confusion to younger readers these days. I don't think I ever read it before, and I definitely wouldn't recommend it for children today. Now the next one I did read as a kid, The Cat in the Hat, and I just remember thinking it was very silly and that I knew you shouldn't let a stranger in your house, and I could think of loads of things to do inside on a rainy day, books, jigsaws, crafts, so I really couldn't relate to those children at all, and I felt they got what they deserved. The Cat in the Hat comes back. Again, the mother went off and left her kids. Hadn't they all learnt their lesson the first time round? I remember as a kid I was kind of terrified of this cat showing up at my house. Still, I don't like these books. Maybe there's some emotional scarring there. Let's move on. Hunches in Bunches. I can definitely relate to this, having too many hobbies and not knowing what to do first. Never read this one before, or the next one we're going to look at, but they're both okay. I Had Trouble in Getting to Solar Salou. It's a very silly rhyming story about dealing with your problems when you find them. Oh, the Places You'll Go. Felt like it was written more for the parents' benefit. An inspirational yet realistic rhyme of all the things a parent would hope for their child. Quite sweet, really. Made me think of Rudyard Kipling's If poem, which I did read when I was quite young and found very inspiring. But back to Zeus. Fox in Socks, a funny tongue-twister nonsense. I get the feeling this one was written mostly to annoy parents who are trying to read it to their kids, but I can imagine kids would love it for that reason. Green Eggs and Ham. Now this one I did read as a kid, probably because I was a very fussy eater and my mum thought this would encourage me to try things. Green eggs and ham? Really? Even I knew some things shouldn't be green. I quite liked it when I reread it, but all it did really was remind me of another poem that I read at the same age, of Augustus who wouldn't eat his soup, which was a much more cautionary and terrifying tale that stuck in my head way more than this one. I don't expect it would be considered good form to give to a young child to read these days, as Augustus basically starved himself to death. Actually, I think I'll read it to you. I'll mark the time so you can skip it if you prefer. The Story of Augustus Who Would Not Have Any Soup, by Heinrich Hoffman. Augustus was a chubby lad, fat ruddy cheeks Augustus had, and everybody saw with joy the plump and hearty healthy boy. He ate and drank as he was told, and never let his soup get cold. But one day, one cold winter's day, he screamed out, "Take the soup away! Oh, take the nasty soup away! I won't have any soup today!" Next day begins his tale of woes. Quite lank and lean Augustus grows. Yet though he feels so weak and ill, the naughty fellow cries out still, "Not any soup for me, I say. Oh, take the nasty soup away. I won't have any soup today." The third day comes. Oh, what a sin, to make himself so pale and thin. Yet when the soup is put on the table, he screams as loud as he is able, "Not any soup for me, I say. Oh, take the nasty soup away. I won't have any soup today." Look at him now, the fourth day's come. He scarcely weighs a sugar plum. He's like a little bit of thread. And on the fifth day he was dead. Great, I almost remembered that off by heart. But back to Dr Seuss. Horton Hears a Who, a very cute rhyming story. I liked this one. Surprised I never read it when I was younger. It was actually made into an animated film in 2008. Who knew? Just remember, a person is a person no matter how small. Something us low subscriber YouTube channels can really relate to. So, we've made it to number 1. The Sneetches and Other Stories. It was my husband's favourite book as a kid, and he's often talked to me about star-bellied Sneetches and pale green pants with no one inside them. And it was nice to actually finally read it for myself. And I can see why it was his favourite. I really enjoyed it, and it's my favourite too. Also in this set of stories was Too Many Daves, and that I thought was absolutely hilarious. The laugh out loud moment being, well, actually, why don't I just play you a clip of when I tried to read it to my husband. Dr Seuss, Too Many Daves. Did I ever tell you that Mrs McCabe had 23 sons and she named them all Dave? Well, she did, and that wasn't a smart thing to do. You see, when she wants one and calls out, "You-hoo, come into the house, Dave," she doesn't get one. All 23 Daves of hers come on the run. This makes things quite difficult at the McCaves, as you can imagine, with so many Daves, and often she wishes that when they were born she had named one of them Bodkin Van Horn, and one of them Hoo-Foos, and one of them Simnim, and one of them Hotshot, and one Sunny Jim, and one of them Shadrach, and one of them Blinky, and one of them Stuffy, and one of them Stinky, another one Put, another one Moonface, another one Marvin O'Gravel Balloonface, and one of them Ziggy, and one and one Soggy Muff. Yeah, so I expect this means something different in the UK than it does in America, especially these days. If I have 23 kids, I would call them all Dave. Oh, so how do these stack up today? I think they're very funny, silly rhyming stories for children, and I should think they still enjoy them, although a couple of them are a bit dated. I definitely recommend everyone, no matter how old, should read The Sneetches and Other Stories, even if they haven't already, because it's great. I actually came close to keeping that one. But in the end, I did list all 12 up on eBay for $15.99 and accepted an offer of £14. So I packed them up. They were £3.29 to post. So after fees and costs, the profit was about £6.87. And I got positive feedback, which is always nice and actually quite rare to actually get any feedback at all on eBay these days. I hope the buyer gets as much joy from them as I did. I would definitely pick up little sets like this again for a quick resale. I think it's important to bring the joy of reading to children as early as possible. I hope you found this video interesting. Please like and subscribe if you did, and I hope to see you in the next one. I would love to hear your thoughts and views on the Dr Seuss books. Leave me a comment below. I'll be sure to reply. I'm off to read a book.